Welcome back to the Modern Hotelier. We're really excited to release this episode with Guise Bule. David, what were a couple things that stood out to you from this episode?
Well, what I loved was he's a man who saw the problem, was involved in an issue and solved it to the extent of he actually, is doing something that's going to change the way people travel with their dogs. And that was pretty cool to see somebody who's that passionate to actually do something about it rather than just write a scathing review how the hotel didn't provide what the expectation he thought. He actually did something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was one of my favorite things too. And I also love how he's really nobody's done this before. Nobody has rated hotels for dogs, and he's kind of coming up with this on his own. And I thought his rating system, the 50 different requirements that go into a hotel was really well thought out and gives a good, accurate, transparent rating of how dog-friendly hotels are. So really excited to release this episode. Let us know what you think in the comments and enjoy.
Enjoy it. Welcome to the Modern Hotelier. I'm your host, David Millili.
I'm your co-host, Steve Carran.
And I'm the producer, John Boomhofer.
Steve, who do we have on the program today?
Yeah, David, today we have on Guise Bule. Guy is the founder of Ranked by Roch and the Roch Society. Ranked by Roch is the world's first dog-friendly certification and ranking process for the hotel industry. Ranked by Roch certifies hotels' dog-friendly policies, services, amenities, access, and facilities to regionally rank them on rochdog.com. Welcome to the show, Guy.
Steve, thank you for having me. I appreciate you letting me on.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go through 4 sections. We're going to basically go through a lightning round, learn about your background, get into your career, and then dive into some industry topics. Sound good?
Very good.
All right, here we go. So what was your first job?
My first job was stacking shelves in a supermarket. My father sent me out in the world of work. I was still at school. And it's the job in England where I'm from that it's either that or a paper round, right? But I chose the supermarket because of the pretty cashiers that works in there. And that was my first job.
Yeah, smart decision. Something that you wish you were better at.
I wish I was better at keeping my mouth shut sometimes.
Do you have a role model?
Yeah, I do actually. I mean, this obviously changes from time to time. But right now it's a guy called Rick Cridland who started this incredible company making toys, enrichment toys for guinea pigs, which sounds crazy. But there's method to his madness, there's genius there. And it's called Hey Pigs. He's my hero right now.
That's funny. What is a luxury you cannot live without?
Wow. My dog and my toes in the sand.
All right. What's a place you've never been to that you'd most like to go to?
Lots of those, David. Wow.
Pick one.
I'm going to have to say Chile.
Great. All right. So you have a late night talk show. You're the host. Who's your first guest?
Wow. You've thrown me with that one. Who do I want to talk to the most? The chief exec of TripAdvisor.
Yeah, that makes 2 of us. If you had a time machine, which way are you going? You going to the future, going to the past? And what year are you going to go to?
I'm headed to the past. I'm headed back to the glory days of the full English breakfast. I want a really good one. I think that's where you get the best.
All right. Man who follows his stomach. We like it.
That was great. So now we're going to learn a little bit more about your background, what makes you tick. So you grew up in England. Is that right?
No, I grew up I'm third culture. I grew up in lots of different countries.
Okay. Where'd you grow up?
All over Europe, Spain, France, Italy, Turkey, bits in South America. And as an adult, I carried on living in that way too. Because when you don't know where you're from, you just keep looking and traveling globally, right? And my work has taken me across the waters of the Atlantic to the US. I've been working there for the last decade and a half. So yeah, I'm kind of English. I sound English. My parents are English, but I'm really transatlantic, and I've got a European outlook. It's messes you up a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's great. How did living in all those different places shape you into who you are today?
They made it really easy for me to go anywhere and make friends, right? I find it really easy to move to any country on my own, where I don't know anybody, and build a life there and make friends, have fun, fit in with the local culture and customs. I think that's a big part of being a third culture kid, is knowing how to do that right.
Yeah, that's great.
Like you said, you're in the U.S. What made you decide to come to the US, and how has the transition been, say, from living, throughout Europe and other places?
Funnily, I didn't actually decide to move to the US. The US decided to. It was a wonderful woman called Robin Goldstone. She ran the high performance computing division for Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. It's a National Nuclear Security Administration facility. And I was in cybersecurity back then. And we had this amazing platform and they wanted it. She told me, we can't do business with an English company. You need to move to America. But of course, the contract was huge. It was a major defense contract with a major federal government facility. And, I saw my future clearly on the wall. The writing was on the wall. I moved to America without thinking twice, gentlemen. And I have to say, to answer the second part of your question, I've not looked back. I love working with Americans. My companies are always founded and formed in America for a good reason.
That's awesome. So you're also the chairman of the English Breakfast Society, and you even have written a book called The English Breakfast Handbook, a guide to the traditional full English breakfast. How did you get passionate about English breakfast, and what is the best English breakfast you've ever had?
That's a hard. So it's my hobby, right?
Yeah.
I've been doing quite fierce, complex technical stuff for a long time in my career, and my hobby was tuning out and writing and talking about the English breakfast. And I do it for a reason. Once upon a time, I got really angry when they closed my favorite cafe down in West London. And suddenly you can get good English breakfast in West London. The tradition was in decline. And I got angry and founded the English Breakfast Society. 12, 13 years later, we actually managed to move the needle. And, tradition soaring in popularity. The best English breakfast in the UK right now is going to be tough. It's two places. The Faro, these are both London places, right? The Faro restaurant, or the Hawksmoor Guildhall, or the Hawksmoor in general, any of their places, do incredible examples of contemporary English breakfast. They're just incredible.
Beautiful. Definitely wrote those down. So that was great. Now we're going to go into your career a little bit, how you got to where you are today. So you're an entrepreneur. You have had a couple companies, some that have gotten acquired. Besides Roche, what has been your favorite company that you've started?
I have to say all of them, right? I have to say all of them. Even the ones that failed, I still love them. They still live in a little bit of my heart. It's funny. I was talking to one of my mentors, and he said to me, "How are you doing?" And I said, I'm making less money right now than I've ever made in my life. Working in cyber, working in defense pays big bucks, and I've gotten used to that. Right now, I'm making a lot less money than I'm used to, but I've never been happier. Got to tell you, my favorite startup is the one I'm working on right now. I abandoned my former career, a highly paid former career, and I went to the dogs. And I've never been happier, Steve. Never been happier. I have to tell you, this favorite one is the one I'm working on right now.
I love that.
Great. So just a bit over a year, you started the Roch Society, ranked by Roche. What made you start that company, companies, and tell us more about them?
So white hot fury and anger was what did it. Here's the thing: when I get really, I'm not an angry person. You mustn't think I'm an angry person. But when I get angry at something, angry enough to want to change something, right? That's when I have my best ideas. It just is. And I'm not going to blame the Dolce Wyndham, So I checked in to a Dolce Wyndham with my girlfriend because it was dog-friendly marketing. They're really good at it. I believed it, got suckered in by it. And I checked in, dropped my bags, beautiful luxury resort, went downstairs with my dog to sit on the terrace. And I sat down and the waiter came over and said, "I'm sorry, your dog can't be here." And, bearing in mind, I'm spending $150 a night extra to have my dog there. So I looked at him and I said, "I've just checked in. I really need a beer. Please bring me a beer and send your manager over." He's like, "I'm really sorry." I'm like, "Don't worry. Bring me a beer. We'll get this sorted out." So the manager came over and he explained to me, this is a 5-star luxury resort that's charging me an awful lot of money to be there with my dog, telling me your dog must stay in the room, not allowed on the terraces, not allowed in the gardens, the huge back gardens, the huge gardens in front that are ornamental, nobody uses. Dog must stay in the room. It meant I, as a dog owner, just ruined my trip. First of all, I was furious. Secondly, I speak fluent Spanish. We were in Spain at the time. Told me it's local regulations, and I knew that wasn't true. So I just went mad. I sat outside in the mountains with my dog. My girlfriend enjoyed the resort, and I was spitting fire. But I tell you, it wasn't just them. It was 100 hotels that came before them. I've been turned away from hotel rooms because inexplicably my small female Labrador is too big for their hotel. right? Too big. Or because I'm sorry, sir, we've only got 2 dog-friendly rooms and they're occupied. You should have called ahead. I'm like, I booked you because I thought you were dog-friendly, and this kept happening to me. And it happened enough over the years that it built up into this frustration. And it was the Dolce Wyndham that tipped me over the edge. And I left that weekend and I knew what had to be done. The hotel industry, I think it's like the word luxury has been abused. When everyone's luxury, nobody's luxury. Greenwashing happens for the same reason. When everyone's sustainable, nobody is. Same with dog-friendly. Pet-friendly doesn't mean much anymore. You can't trust the pet-friendly tags on the booking platforms, the websites. You really can't. And if you do, you just run into problems time and time again if you try and travel with your dog. It's a serious problem. And I knew it had to be solved, and I came up with a way to solve it. Trying to fix my own problem, right? I want to find the world's best hotels where I can stay with my dog and be happy. That's it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I feel your pain on that. When I'm traveling with my animals, I'll travel with my cat and dog, and hotels will say pet friendly. So I'm like, okay, multiple variety of pets can come in, but then it might be only dogs. And like you said, you call and it's like, oh, we only have 1 or 2 dog friendly rooms. Those are booked. We can't do it. And it's like, what are you going to do? It's kind of like not the best transparency about what their rules are or regulations. But I want you to elaborate a little bit on how you're doing the ranking of these hotels. There's a lot that goes into dog or pet friendly hotels. What are the qualifications that you are looking at Roch to, I guess, distinguish these the most dog friendly hotels?
So we go about this in a fairly systematic way. It's a data-driven approach, right? We're trying to measure everything that's measurable as it pertains to dog hospitality, canine hospitality. So that begins with services they offer, the policies that surround dogs and dog owners being on their property, the amenities they offer, the facilities on site that are available for use by dogs and dog owners, all the way through to ancillaries. It's the whole gamut we cover, and it's about 55 different questions we ask them. And these are very simple yes or no questions because we're trying to avoid ambiguity, right? We're trying to get a clear picture and measure something precisely. Each answer carries a point weight. For example, if there's a dog fee, we call it a canine tax now. A canine tax is a cleaning fee that a hotel charges you without offering services or amenities in return. So if they charge you one, we deduct a point for that. You can win or lose points depending on how you answer in our system. And what that does is give us an accurate point score. That's a true reflection of your dog-friendly position. As it pertains to our benchmark, which is made up of 1,000 certifications across hotels, not just in your country, but globally, and that 1,000's increasing. Our benchmark is getting sharper over time. We take your point score and we use that to derive a letter-based rank. No one knows what 50 is or 30 points out of 50 is, but they know what an A+ is. They know what a B is. They know what a D is, right? So we derive the letter ranks from the point scores based on the answers hotels give us. And these are quite comprehensive verbal interviews done with hotels to make sure we've got the right information. And that's the only way, really, you can tell if a hotel's truly dog-friendly or not, and he's going to meet your needs as a dog owner. Because without it, you're flying blind. What we're trying to do is make it easy for dog owners to know where to spend their money, where to stay with their dog, and where to avoid, because that's important. That really is important too. That's why we're quantifying it and certifying it,
This episode is sponsored by Roch. Roch is the world's first dog-friendly certification process for hotels. They help hotels punch through the pet-friendly noise to connect with dog owners and generate direct bookings. Roch is a new industry standard that leverages a comprehensive certification process to measure a dog-friendly hotel's policies, services, facilities, amenities, and ancillaries, so that dog owners know exactly what to expect before they book. Roch encourages dog owners to book directly with the hotels they certify. They understand that dog owners are willing to pay a premium for good dog-friendly hospitality, and they consistently direct dog owners to the best dog-friendly hotels in their directory. That's Roch, spelled R-O-C-H, because they're named after the patron saint of dogs. Head on over to rochdog.com to see their regional rankings in action and use discount code Modern Hotelier to get 12 months of certification and direct bookings for free.
Great to learn a little bit more of your background. Now we're going to go into the trends in the hotel world, specifically around pets. So you recently ranked the Intercontinental Miami as the dog-friendliest hotel on earth. What made that property so unique and so dog-friendly to give it an A+?
All the right answers. All the right answers. Just worth noting, we don't lightly award that title. There's probably 2 A+ hotels out of the 1,000 I've certified personally so far. It's by any measure an incredibly high rank. And the reason they scored that A+ is quite simply their outstanding canine, inclusivity and excellence. It's across the board. They go above and beyond by organizing weekly canine events on their awesome terrace. They are the local spot for every dog-friendly community and club in the region. Everything about their hotel and, your stay, your experience there is truly dog-friendly. They even produce they work with local designers to make their own cool bandanas for dogs, right? I don't just say Intercontinental on them, but are actually a fashion item. They're redefining canine fashion. They're working with local canine charities to make sure the proceeds of any of their pet program, go to local charities. I mean, that's excellence right there. That truly is dog-friendly excellence. Beds, bolts are provided. Food's on the menu. They'll walk your dog for you if you need it. They've got a veterinarian on call in case of medical emergencies, and they've got specific business insurance coverage in place because that's peace of mind, right? And that's called doing all the right things, gentlemen. That's why they have an A+.
What is the coolest amenity that you've seen for dogs? The reason I ask, when I lived in downtown Washington, D.C., the apartment complex got built next to where I was living, and they had a dog spa on top of their roof where they had, the fake grass. And then they actually had somebody to come in and do spa appointments for dogs where they do the nail clipping, they get washed, and the whole time they're like eating treats and just being pampered, probably better than I've ever been pampered, to be honest with you. So I got to ask, have you seen anything like that in a hotel? And what is the coolest thing you've seen? Or
so I've got creative? 2 answers. My dog's answer and my answer, right? My answer is hotels in Japan love selfie spots. They'll bring in a photographer. They'll set up a cool background. They'll take some killer shots of you and your dog. That's amazing, right? It just, people love that. And I love that because who doesn't? The great stuff you can post on social media. My dog loves water fountains, what you call the specific dog ones that dogs can just play in. They're like sprinklers and they move a bit. If your garden has one of those, it keeps them happy in the heat. And that's just, great. And those are the 2 coolest things I see. But yeah, memorable experiences. If hotels really want to create memorable experiences, get a photographer, create a cool backdrop, make some killer images with your customers, right? And their dogs. They'll love you for it.
Yeah. Great idea. So you mentioned if you had one person on your talk show, it would be the CEO of TripAdvisor. I have a feeling it has to do a little bit with an article you just wrote about TripAdvisor's 2024 Pet Friendly Hotel Awards and how they are completely broken. Tell us a little bit more about this article and I guess why there's a disconnect with TripAdvisor and pet friendly hotels.
So this is a really interesting conversation. I think it's a bigger conversation about what's wrong with pet friendly in the wider industry. But let's answer the TripAdvisor question. That's a big statement, huh? TripAdvisor's pet friendly awards are broken. Here's how I see it. And what got me onto this is the CEO of Mars, the big global conglomerate, declaring when he was announcing a partnership with TripAdvisor, 30% of dog owners would rather leave their dog at home because it's just too difficult to travel with them. So the partnership with TripAdvisor was about making it easier for pet owners to travel with their dogs when they stayed at hotels. Of course, this triggered me because I've known for a long time TripAdvisor can't tell a dog-friendly hotel a good one, from a bad one. They just don't have the data. They don't have the perspective, and they've not bothered to check. So I immediately went and applied. Of course, I sprung into action and did my duty, Steve. I sprung into action and immediately personally certified all of the 25 hotels in their best of the best pet-friendly hotel awards. And I expected to, at least in the top 5, find some good dog-friendly hotels. The top 3 were stinkers. The first one ranked 10 out of 52 points on my score. It was a C. And I'm being very objective as I can because I'm aware of the article I'm writing when I'm doing this, right? So I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to be objective. just by any measure, canine inclusivity didn't exist there. Your dog must stay in the room, wasn't allowed in the bars, restaurants, lounges, the guest lounge out. It must be the lobby, the lift, or your room. There's a high pet fee. There's no beds or bowls. Like, how is that the number one best of the best pet-friendly hotel in the world? And then I thought, it must be a mistake. I checked the number 2. No, the same pattern. It was the same kind of hotel. The actual best hotel on that list was Four Seasons, which was down at the number 15 spot, inexplicably. And you have to ask yourself, if Mars and TripAdvisor really want to make it easier for pet owners, pet parents, they call it. Let's call it what it is, dog owners, to travel when they want to go and stay at hotels with their dog. They could have at least checked the hotels they're recommending in their new awards they jointly announced are fit for purpose. They're actually sending people to good dog-friendly hotels, because if you go to any of those hotels in their top 5, you're not going to have a good hospitality experience as a dog owner. You're not. You're not. A dog-friendly hotel that doesn't cater to your actual needs is like a restaurant serving food without flavor. It's not genuine hospitality. It's not. It's
Absolutely.
not.
Have you noticed that in different parts of the world, I guess there's better or worse scores for dog owners? Like, how does the US compare to Europe?
US is great. I mean, some of the world's best dog-friendly hotels are in mainly the UK and saying that Japan goes, you talk about dog spas, they have them in Japan. They full on they do dog-friendly well in Japan. Of course they do, with weird gadgets and, wonderful photo shoot opportunities. That's where I saw the photo shoot idea. But no, in America, I think America, the hospitality industry we have in the States, leads the industry in terms of dog friendliness. It's where we're seeing the highest ranking hotels. But that being said, my own country, wow, there's some great dog friendly hotels there based in UK country houses, like out of the movies, with huge gardens around them. You can't beat a huge garden, gentlemen, right? When you've got a dog. It's just wonderful. Off-leash walking outside the doorstep. So there's some incredible hotels out there. The ones I've come across so far, the best ones consistently across the board, United States, we know dog friendly.
Makes you feel any better. TripAdvisor is broken as a whole, let alone their their pet friendly hotels. That's my opinion. So makes you feel any better. I think that,
Well, I'm doing Expedia next, right? I'm proving the point, because all of a sudden we have a data-driven approach that we can use for comparative analysis to really test if their claims are true. I'm almost certain Expedia's top 20 dog-friendly hotel list isn't the top 20 in the world, as they say it is. Do you know whose is? Condé Nast. I've certified all of their 2023, 2024 winners, consistently high standards across the board. But again, they're B pluses and A's, not A pluses. There's excellence that they've missed. You could argue, David, sorry, just to go back to TripAdvisor, isn't their job to showcase excellence when it comes to hospitality?
That's what I would have. I was going to keep punching, but I decided to pull back. Yeah, I mean, they didn't know who they wanted to be when they grew up. They start out with this mission of helping travelers find the best places to travel, just like you're finding the best places to travel with your pet, your canine, your dog. They moved into trying to book rooms, and that's not what they do. So now when you go to a TripAdvisor, the site, you're getting bombarded with book a room, and it's like, I don't want to book a room. I want to find the room I want to book. I don't want to book a room right now. That's why I'm here.
Right.
So that's the whole. They've never been able to figure that out. And if you're trying to compete against with Expedia and Booking.com, you're just not going to win, because that's all they do. And now Expedia and Booking.com have reviews. But to your point, I'm sure you will find the same thing, because when it gets tough. 50 questions is great. When you have 3 questions and it's 1 to 5 stars, all of a sudden every hotel is a 4.5 or a 4-star hotel, when it's probably not. So it's very difficult. So you have to go in and do more. If I look at Expedia for hotels, I filter by guest rankings. Is it ranked wonderful? But like, there's all these little things you can click on the filter. Because if not, it's like with Hotel Tonight, if you book a hotel that's under 90% approved, you're in a bad place.
It's not just dog owners, David. It's not just dog owners. Imagine you're disabled. So one of my favorite companies, Wheel the World, they do nothing but certify manual inspection, certify disabled friendliness, right? Because if you turn up to a hotel and you're disabled in a wheelchair and they're not disabled friendly like they say they are, which, that word out there isn't regulated, right? You're going to have a bad time. So we're going to see these underserved niches within the travel and hospitality industry being better served by the big OTAs. That's a trend that's happening right now. Dog certification, dog friendly certification is part of it. The disabled friendly certification is another part. So sustainability certification, and it's because consumers, they want to make better choices when it comes to where they spend their money. And especially dog owners, we, saying you're a dog friendly hotel without offering real amenities for dogs is like offering a bed without a mattress. It's not just incomplete, it's uncomfortable. Consumers want better. Millennials own more dogs than any other generation in history. They're going older. They don't have children. They want to travel with their dogs. And we need to be ready as an industry to prepare for this influx of doggy travelers. It's just the way of the world. It's the future.
Well, you've given us some really good YouTube shorts. Okay, next question. How does transparency and having a dog rating, help the experience for dog owners? And maybe you have some examples outside of yourself of some guests that have used your service, your rankings, and come back and said, wow, I got exactly what was advertised.
Yeah. Do you know, it's interesting because when I set out with the Roch standard, we didn't want to rank anyone lower than a C, right? Because we didn't want to be seen to be bad-mouthing anyone in the industry. But the truth is, we've realized, and remember, we're a startup too. We're maturing as we grow, We've realized that our job isn't just to showcase excellence, but it's also to tell dog owners where not to go. The problem with the words pet-friendly and trying to book a pet-friendly hotel on any platform is they can't tell you the difference between a good dog-friendly hotel and a bad one. The only way to do that is apply a ranking to these hotels and certify dog friendliness in a quantifiable way. It's the only way to do it. And I've just lost track of the question you asked me, but I'm hoping I'm answering it.
Yes, you are. Has there been any experiences or any feedback you've gotten from guests who said, thank you so much. We had a vacation, and because of your ranking, everything was exactly as you presented.
Well, actually quite the opposite, David. I mean, people do say that to me, but the feedback I get is show us the bad hotels so we know where to avoid. So finding the right dog-friendly hotel is about meeting the needs of your dog. And people have different dogs, different size dogs. Lots of hotels have different weight limits. And it's about knowing this before you book. If you know exactly what to expect before you book a dog-friendly hotel, you're not setting yourself up for a bad time. The hotel's not setting themselves up for conflict with their customer because they're not as pet friendly as you'd like them to be, right? So it's all about exactly knowing. And part of this is inventing new language to help us better distinguish between good and bad. And for example, canine tags, right? I've talked to enough cleaners and interviewed literally over 100 of them in my travels over the last decade because I've been consistently taxed by a canine tax when I travel with my dog. And the question asked is the same. I'm so sorry if my dog's made any extra mess. I apologize. And if they're honest with you, they'll tell you dogs don't make the mess unless they chew something up or do diarrhea on the floor, which not many of them do. It's the humans who make the mess. If you're in good hotels, 4 or 5 star, they'll say the same thing. Our standards are so high. We clean the room in the same way every time, whether a dog stays in it or not. The cleaning fee is not a cleaning fee, guys. Not at $150 a night. So we call that a canine tax. And again, using that word helps dog owners identify exactly what kind of dog-friendly hotel they are. It really is. Another term we've invented is dog tolerant. Because again, we need to be able to distinguish. We're going to start calling out the low-ranking hotels and labeling them as dog tolerant because then dog owners know what to expect before they book. They know where to spend their money and they want to spend it with the hotels that do dog-friendly right.
So if I'm a hotelier and my hotel is not pet-friendly, not canine-friendly, what are a couple things that they could do right off the bat that would really kind of check the boxes? And maybe they're not going to get an A+, but they're going to at least get a above satisfactory grade if they can do a couple of these things.
I'll give you a gem. I rarely see it, and it's such a low-hanging fruit item that you wonder why everybody doesn't do it. For God's sake, have some bags of Kiddle and cans of wet dog food behind reception. The amount of times I've been in a hotel and called down to these are 5-star, these are Kimptons, 4 Seasons, right? And I've called down to room service and said, have you got anything? Okay, just bring me a meat plate without the dressing and, because there's no dog food. Or I've had to run around at night because I've got there late and, have some dog food on the menu. It's worth points in our ranking. It's a low-hanging fruit item. It's easy to fix. These things have a long shelf life. You can pull them out when you need them. Have dog food on the menu. It's not a big deal, guys. Do it. It'll make our lives easier as dog owners.
I love that. One I'm also going to add is have some fake grass around your hotel, right? I went to a place in Nebraska and there was no grass. we had to walk downtown and try and find a patch of grass. The closest one was about 3-4 blocks down the street. So, that is also one thing. If you're going to be pet friendly, have some grass where they can go to the bathroom.
Well, some dogs are funny about it. They need that grass. Yeah, they won't
Ours
pee.
apparently is.
Yeah, no, that's quite common, It really is. I mean, you're right. Having a dedicated pet space, right, for those quick calls of nature is really convenient, but it's about true hospitality. Because I think true hospitality means creating a memorable experience for all guests. And that includes our four-legged friends. Anything less is missing the mark. So something as simple as a little bit of grass on the grounds for a dog to use, that goes a long way. Owners appreciate it. You're absolutely right.
I would have loved one instead of walking a few blocks at, midnight to find some grass. But hey, Guy, this has been awesome. And we have been asking you the questions this whole time. So now we're going to turn the tables a little bit and you get to ask us a question.
Yeah, I've noticed. I've been watching your podcast, of course. And I've noticed you rarely talk about dog friendly. It rarely comes up as topic of conversation. But the world is a-changing. More people own dogs than ever. And we must be seeing this trend, this conversation coming into the mainstream, right? As professionals, are you seeing these conversations happen around the hospitality industry more and more?
Around the dog-friendly hotels? I haven't heard it as much. I'm going to be honest. I haven't heard a ton of folks in hospitality talking about being more dog-friendly. We've talked about being sustainable a lot and, kind of those trends of being green. But and we've talked about experiences are such a big thing in hotels right now as well, hyper-local experiences. But you're the first person that we've had on, and this is our third season, that has talked about being pet-friendly and canine-friendly. So I'm hoping this kind of starts a conversation more. And from here on, we hear a little bit more about it.
I hope so too.
Yeah. So what I've seen is that, it's tough. Steve and I know we sell into hotels, mostly independent hotels in our career. I ran independent hotels, and hotels are slow to change. And that's not necessarily a negative, but they're still trying to figure out how to take care of their own guest. So as you were talking, I was even taking down notes, like in the booking process, the guest who books a pet-friendly room should be able to put the pet's name, the weight, breed, or maybe a food preference to your point, or even pick certain amenities it might want in the room. Does the dog need a separate bed or what have you? Things of that nature. Because hotels are trying to do that now with more wellness. Like, do you want a Peloton bike in the room, or do you want weights, or do you want something? So Steve's right. We haven't, from a pet-friendly, it's not a big topic in our industry right now, which is a kind of kudos to you for kind of grabbing it and taking the bull by the horn. So it's not a big topic. It should be. And you're right. I mean, I'm a dog guy, but my son wanted a cat, and then my wife got a second cat. So now I've got this cat that loves me and follows me around. And when I get done the podcast, she's going to be right outside the door waiting for me because she wants to be in this room. So people, like you said, people love their animals like they love their kids. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, why aren't more people talking about TripAdvisor sending dog owners to bad hotels? It's just no one talks about it. Maybe the emperor has no clothes and everyone's too worried to mention it. I don't know. It's people need to have these conversations because it's the future of hospitality is inclusivity. And that includes dog owners, right?
Yeah, and you're doing one quick thing. I'll add what you're doing, which is smart. And sometimes you have to, what I always say is you have to help the hoteliers think through the process, not tell them what the problem is. You have to tell them like, hey, this cleaning fee is bullshit. So if you need to, and you want to charge an extra $20 per night for a dog-friendly room, do it. That's much more, I could absorb that. If I was going with my dog and was like, oh, I'm getting a pet-friendly room, $20, $25 more, I get it, I'm guaranteed, great. But just like a resort fee, when you get to that final booking spot and there's like a $40 resort fee that basically tells you can make free calls and you get a bottle of water or something, you're like, really? Like, just put it in the rate. Don't try to BS me and trying to make me think, I just went through the whole booking process. I think I'm getting a $299 per night room, and it's really a $350 room. So anyway, so I'll leave it.
Well,
with
the
that.
Kimpton do that. Kimptons are amongst them. One of the dog friendliest hotel groups anywhere, and dogs stay for free always at the Kimptons. But our A+, our number one, Intercontinental, charge $100 per stay. We found that reasonable because of the extreme high level of services, amenities, dog walking facilities, social vibe. Right? It's fashion. You don't mind paying a small fee if you were receiving a lot in return. Some of the most dog-friendliest hotels we have, the State Pineapple Group, for example, wonderfully dog friendly, best in class in the US. They charge a very small fee. It's a very small fee, compared to the rest of the industry. But, sometimes a fee is necessary to cover the cost of those extra services you're offering, of those amenities you're offering, to your customers as guests. It's just the way it is.
You bet. You bet. And I have one more question. David just confessed that he's a cat guy. And I've said multiple times that I have cats or I have one cat and we travel with it. Are you going to expand Roch to look into cat friendly or feline friendly hotels as well?
Never. Here's the thing. Saint Roch is the patron saint of dogs. We're named after the patron saint of dogs, gentlemen. That's number one. Secondly, let's talk about the words pet friendly for a second. If you don't mind me saying so, they're bullshit. They don't mean anything. People don't travel with their fish, their ferrets, their dogs, their horses, and if you did, the hotel wouldn't let you in. 99.9% of travelers are traveling with their dogs when they travel with their pets. That's just the way of the world. So we're all about moving away from pet friendly towards great dog friendly. And that's what we're about.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Because there is nothing more frustrating when I call a hotel that's pet friendly and they don't accept cats when I'm traveling with my cat. And it's like, well, you're not really pet friendly. You're more just dog friendly. So you got to say that on your website. So
you got to say it. Right? Yeah.
Well, you might have people dressing up their cats like dogs to sneak in. That's probably the next phase, the next evolution of pet travel.
That phase we've tried already, and it's worked a few times. Just don't mind the meowing.
But you guys are professionals, right? I mean, I'm not from the industry. My background isn't. Call me crazy, but isn't part of the guest experience about managing their expectations properly?
100%.
And when you don't meet or manage their expectations properly, if there's a disconnect, it causes conflict with the customer. Don't do that with pets because, pets are family members. Family members deserve good hospitality. They do.
Absolutely.
And it's one of the worst places you can pick a fight with a guest. Your dog's too big. It's not. It's small. I'm sorry. I can go on and on.
No, that's great. That's great. So our producer, John, has been listening this whole time. So we're going to hand it over to him for the last question of the show here.
It seems like the biggest issue is not that every hotel needs to be dog friendly. It's just like the transparency, like you mentioned, or setting the expectations. But I'm curious, have you encountered any pushback when doing this, and what kind of pushback from hotels that say they're pet friendly or dog friendly, but maybe really aren't? And like, what is that? How's that usually play out?
Yes. Interestingly, the biggest pushback comes from some of the nicest hotels that pride themselves on the awards they've won for their hospitality. These are hotels that typically employ PR teams, marketing teams, and they're very proactive about the way they present themselves in the public eye. They push back the most because they're often found lacking and they know it. And they're determined not to answer all your questions. Imagine that. This is like we're trying to get secret information out of them. They put the phone down. So we have to call them 3 or 4 times at different times of the day and week to catch different members of staff to ask the same questions to confirm the certification. We always get them, John, because this isn't proprietary information that they should be keeping secret from their guests, right? But they know. And then we get furious emails from their marketing directors. I do not want to participate. And I tell them, welcome to the new world. You can't hide behind the words dog friendly anymore and deliver anything short of being friendly. You can't be dog tolerant and call yourself dog friendly. And what are they going to do? Right? I'm so sorry. I'm on a mission to rank and certify every dog friendly hotel on the planet, gentlemen. You can't hide from my rankings. This is the world we live in now. You have to do it properly or not at all. And that's fine. 30% of the hotels in America are not dog friendly. They're entitled to make that business decision for themselves, right? But we live in a new world now that you can't hide behind the words dog friendly because they have meaning all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, John?
That's great. Well, thank you so much. That does it for another episode of the Modern Hotelier. This is where, Guy, we let you plug away. Roch, how can people find out more about the company, getting hotel rankings, connect with yourself?
So you don't need to worry about finding the world's best hotels. I've done that for you. I've certified them. My team and I have ranked them. And you can find them on rochdog.com. That's ROCHDOG.com. And that's where you find the world's best dog-friendly hotels, ranked by region. So you know exactly what to expect before you book, and you know where to spend your money.
That does it for another episode of the Modern Hotelier. Whether you're listening or watching, we appreciate you, and we will see you again soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Thank you.
This episode is sponsored by Roch. Roch is the world's first dog-friendly certification process for hotels. They help hotels punch through the pet-friendly noise to connect with dog owners and generate direct bookings. Roch is a new industry standard that leverages a comprehensive certification process to measure a dog-friendly hotel's policies, services, facilities, amenities, and ancillaries, so that dog owners know exactly what to expect before they book. Roch encourages dog owners to book directly with the hotels they certify. They understand that dog owners are willing to pay a premium for good dog-friendly hospitality, and they consistently direct dog owners to the best dog-friendly hotels in their directory. That's Roch, spelled R-O-C-H, because they're named after the patron saint of dogs. Head on over to rochdog.com to see their regional rankings in action and use discount code Modern Hotelier to get 12 months of certification and direct bookings for free.
You made it to the end of the Modern Hotelier. Thanks for listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Make More Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a guest or sponsor that would be a good fit, feel free to email us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. If you'd like to get some Modern Hotelier merch, click the merch button on modernhotelier.com or click the link below. Thanks and have a great day.